Hello, I'm Jerry Fort. I'm going to read a story out of this book here called The Scary States of America, 50 Weird and Terrifying Stories, one from each state based on true events by Michael Teitelbaum. And the state I'm going to read about this time is Utah. Okay, the story is called Rest in Peace. One of the strangest tales I've ever heard was a story of Justin Rayburn, who lived near Altamont, Utah. What grabbed my attention was the fact that Justin's experience involved both a UFO abduction and a ghost. Now, that's something you don't hear every day. Justin's best friend, Jim Bolton, emailed me the story. Justin and I had been best friends since kindergarten. We went on adventures together and always seemed to escape trouble at the last second. It was a lot of fun, and I knew Justin would always be there for me. Every year we went camping in the Unita Mountains as a beginning of summer ritual. This year we were both 15 and about to begin our summer jobs in a few days, so we wanted to have fun while we could. After the sun went down one warm evening, we stretched out beside our tent and gazed at the stars. Neither of us said much. We were content in our silence until the unexpected disturbance occurred. Uh-oh, here we go. I saw it first, a blue glow that seemed to skim along the mountain peaks. "What's that?" I asked, pointing as the shapeless blue orb drew closer. "I don't know. A plane?" Justin said. "I never saw a plane like that." We scrambled to our feet. "Maybe we should get into the tent," I suggested. And miss whatever it is?" Justin replied. "No way." Always the cautious one, I stayed close to the tent. Justin climbed up to a rock ledge to get a better view. It was a move that he would soon regret. The glowing object picked up speed, almost as if it had spotted Justin. Shading his eyes and squinting against the light, Justin was soon just a small silhouette from where I stood. The edges of the glowing object kept moving and changing shape. In a few seconds, the glow from the orb had completely filled the sky before us, and then it surrounded Justin's body. I looked on in horror, watching as my best friend was swallowed up by the glow. "Justin!" I shouted. "Get down here!" Then the glow vanished as quickly as it had appeared, like someone just turned off a light switch, and Justin was gone. "Justin!" I screamed, looking around desperately. I scrambled up to the rock ledge, but there was nothing to see or do. There was nowhere Justin could be hiding. Whatever that thing was had just abducted my best friend. Fear overtook me. "Justin!" I shouted again and again, all the time knowing that it would do no good. My desperate voice weakly echoed in the star-filled night. Then all was silent again. I ran back to our tent and rummaged through my bag for my phone. Just as I was about to call for help, the blue glow returned. Appearing suddenly over my head, it moved closer, filling up the sky. Then, just as suddenly, it vanished, but not before spitting Justin onto the ground at my feet. Didn't taste good? "Justin, what happened?" I asked, kneeling. "Are you okay?" 1,000 other questions raced through my mind. "I don't know," Justin said, blinking as his eyes adjusted to the darkness. "I was floating in the blue light for a minute. Then I felt a sharp pain on the left side of my head, and then I was back here." He touched the left side of his head. When he removed his hand, it was covered in blood. I pulled out a flashlight and saw a large round wound on his head. "We have to get you out of here." "Wait," Justin yelped. "Don't tell anyone about this, okay?" It'll be our secret." "Why?" "I can't explain what just happened to me," Justin said, "but I don't want to spend the rest of my life with everyone looking at me like I'm weird, like I'm some kind of a UFO freak or something. Let's just tell everyone that I slipped and hit my head on a jagged rock, okay?" He seemed weirdly desperate about it, so I agreed. "Yeah, fine, whatever," I said as I dialed 911. "Promise me, Jim," Justin yelled. More like, "Promise me, Jim." Justin yelled, "Promise me." Okay, I promise. Take it easy." I gave our information to the operator and was told that a medevac helicopter was on its way. I grabbed a t-shirt and pressed it against Justin's head to try to stop the bleeding. The blood kept coming. An hour later, Justin was admitted to a nearby hospital. I paced the waiting room, wondering what had happened to my friend. I figured the doctors should know the truth so they could help him, but at the same time, I had vowed to stay silent. I said that Justin had tripped and hit his head on a rock, and I repeated the same story to Justin's parents when I called them from the hospital. A short while later, a doctor found me pacing. "We've got your friend stable," the doctor reported, "and the bleeding has stopped, but he's having trouble remaining conscious. We're going to keep him overnight just to observe him. Why don't you go home and get some rest?" After he assured me again that Justin would be fine in the morning, I called my parents to pick me up. I tossed and turned in bed, worrying about Justin. In the middle of the night, I heard a scuffling sound in the corner of my room. "Who's there?" I whispered, sitting up in bed. I glanced at my clock. It read 3:23 a.m. "Jim, it's me," said a familiar voice. "Justin, what are you doing here?" I whispered loudly, flipping on the light. "Why aren't you in the hospital?" There was something odd about Justin's appearance. It appeared pale, like a faded photo, and there was no sign of his head wound. "I came to say goodbye," he said. "What do you mean, goodbye? Where are you going?" "I'm going with them, Jim," he said calmly. "I understand now. They've selected me. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Goodbye, Jim." "What are you talking about? This is crazy." I watched in amazement as Justin faded from view. A second later, he was gone. "Justin?" I felt like I was going to lose my mind. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Early the next morning, I had my parents drive me to the hospital. When I arrived, my heart sank. Justin's mom and dad were sitting in the waiting area, and they looked devastated. "Mr. Rayburn? Mrs. Rayburn, what happened?" I asked, fearing the worst. "Oh, Jimmy," Mrs. Rayburn cried. "Justin died last night." I dropped to one knee and hugged her. Then I began to cry too. I didn't know if I should tell them what I'd seen. The doctor I had met the previous night came over to the group. "I'm terribly sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Rayburn. I just need you to sign some papers." I stood as the doctor handed the papers to Mr. Rayburn. I glanced at the form as Mr. Rayburn took it, and my eye caught two things. First, the cause of death was listed as unknown. Second, the time of death was listed as 3:23 a.m. That's the same time that he found him in his room in that corner. "Justin died at 3:23 in the morning?" I asked. "That's right," the doctor said. "I'm sorry. He just never woke. So he didn't leave the hospital last night?" I asked, wondering how Justin could have been in my room. "Of course not," the doctor said, a bit annoyed. "I told you he'd never regain consciousness. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Rayburn, I'm going to need you to ID the body." "I want to come too," I said, growing frightened and more confused. "If it's okay with the parents," the doctor replied. "Of course," Mr. Rayburn said, reaching over and squeezing my hand. I followed the others into the morgue. The room was cold and silent. I hated thinking about Justin in this horrible place. We crossed the large room to a far wall lined with large drawers. "If you're ready," the doctor said. "Yes," Mr. Rayburn replied quietly. The doctor slid open a drawer labeled Rayburn J. I held my breath and closed my eyes. I heard Mrs. Rayburn gasp. Steeling myself, I opened my eyes. The drawer was empty. I don't understand, the doctor said, clearly shaken. I saw the body placed in here myself. Mrs. Rayburn fainted into her husband's arms. A thorough search of the morgue turned up nothing. Over the next 2 days, every inch of the hospital was searched, but Justin's body was never found. A few nights later, I sat alone in my room and started to cry again. I heard a soft voice in the dark. Don't be sad, Jim. It was Justin's voice. Where are you? I insisted. You're not dead? Your folks are a mess. Tell them not to cry, Jim, Justin said. Again, he had the appearance of an old faded photo. I'm with the ones who came for me. I can rest in peace. Then Justin was gone. I've been back a number of times to the mountains where he and I encountered the blue glow, but I never saw the strange light, and I never heard from Justin again. That was the end. What? That was sad, wasn't it? That was Utah? Utah. Rest in peace. Man. Okay. There you go. Watch out when you go to the mountains. Never know. Blue glow just might get you. Okay. I thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. If you're into these kind of books, you like the paranormal, you collect these kind of books and all kinds of other paraphernalia that involve the paranormal, get you a copy of this. You might really enjoy this for your collection. This is Michael Teitelbaum's The Scary States of America, 50 Weird and Terrifying Stories, one from each state based on true events. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one. Bye.